diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Cutting things so close, I still had my earbuds in from the talking with a sponsee. Step 6, one of my favorite steps, man. I love talking about step 6. I love talking to somebody that is doing step 6. Right, we're doing step 6, and we start to talk about perfection. Um, you know, and the understanding that, is it all perfect? No. But is it perfect? That maybe you're perfect the way that you are. Sure, we're going to make some changes, but you're perfect the way that you are. I was checking, making sure that this is landing where it's supposed to. It has not been being posted in my gosh darn it, I keep clicking the wrong thing. It hasn't been posting in the Daily Trudge because it was called like SEP 30, and they were okay. It is in there, and they're like, we want to make sure that you are not, it was saying that you're not valid for anybody under 13. I'm like, I am most certainly not. You better get here. Ask me to go live and then not show up. Oh, all right. Let's kind of get started because, hey, Michelle, good to see you. But I'm going to go ahead and get started because I usually go to a 3 p.m. meeting. It's a newcomers meeting, and I don't know. I've just always gone, and I almost feel obligated to kind of go, even though I don't really enjoy the meeting. It got really big during the Rona, and then a lot of people just kind of left the group, man. It faded, and it was 7 days a week, and now it's 3 days a week, but people aren't opening it up on Friday, and I don't know. Let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome to Zossen Daily Trudge. Zossen, my name is Dion. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Thank you, Michelle, for liking my stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody really likes my stuff, shares it. Doesn't matter. Actually, I got a little upset because somebody in my life, they tell me they can say certain things to me because they support me. I don't see them sharing my stuff, but they'll share my ex-wife's stuff. Just saying, I noticed. All right, step 1. This is what I would call the longest step. It is also the only step that we have to do perfectly. And why do I call it the longest step? Because it includes your drinking career. So however long you drank is however long it took step 1 to take effect. So Amber better get her butt here. She's the only person. I'll mention some people, but that's because they don't mind. I've asked. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. There's 2 parts to this step. A lot of times it's the second part that gets people. But let's get to it. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. No other kind of bankruptcy is like this one. Alcohol, now become the rapiest's creditor, bleeds us of all self sufficiency and its will to resist its demands. Once this stark fact is accepted, our bankruptcy as going human concerns is complete. There's an acceptance here. As much as there is awareness, in this case, awareness and acceptance are kind of the same, because in order to get to acceptance, you got to be aware of it, right? But, you know, let's say somebody approaches you and asks you to solve their problem, but they don't tell you what the problem is. It's going to be kind of hard, isn't it? It's going to be kind of hard to solve that problem now, isn't it? Yeah. Without knowing some things, it might be difficult. Now, we call this thing a lot of different things, but mostly in the AA program, we call it the gift of desperation, is what we tend to call it. But it says here, once this fact is accepted, once we have accepted the fact that we are an alcoholic, our bankruptcy, as far as being human goes, is complete. It's done. We also call this bottoms. I'll just say this about bottoms. There is your bottom, and it's the only one that matters. Rock bottom does not exist. There are no high bottoms. There are no low bottoms. There's no middle of the road bottoms. There's yours, and it's the only one that matters. Don't let anybody else tell you that you can't get sober because of something else. A lot of people get sober because of a DUI, but it's not okay to get sober for your wife and kids. Come on. Come on. Hey, nudge from the judge. We get into AA all sorts of ways, man. And I don't care how it happened. I'm okay with it. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. Yay, you made it. Yay. I just know you're really busy today. It was funny because you were like, go live. I'm like, I just posted I was going live. I'm going live. I was late, though. I was late, like 2 minutes. Of this absolute humiliation, we perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps towards liberation and strength. Our admissions of personal powerlessness finally turn out to be the firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. So the bedrock, steps 1, 2, and 3 are foundation, and that's the firm bedrock we're talking about. See, if you do steps 1, 2, and 3 every single day, then you'll have a good foundation. I wake up every morning and ask God to keep me sober that day, and that is my admission that I am still an alcoholic. I wake up a recovered alcoholic, and I wake up a drunk, and it happens every single day. Right? I also want to talk. It talks about humiliation here. Humility and humiliation are two different words. I just kind of want to bring that up. We know that little good can come to any alcoholic who joins AA unless he has first accepted his devastating weakness and all its consequences. Until he so humbles himself, his sobriety, if any, will be precarious. Of real happiness, you will find none. Proved beyond the doubt by an immense experience, this is one of the facts of AA life. The principle that we shall find no enduring strength until we first admit complete defeat is the main taproot from which our whole society is sprung and flowered. It is the first paradox of AA. Right. Now, we alcoholics go through a lot of paradoxes in this program, and that is because we have the cart before the horse. We always have. Right? A lot of people think fear is lessened. No, you gain more courage, which is better. When first challenged to admit defeat, most of us revolted. I did. We had approached AA expecting to be taught self-confidence. Then we had been told that so far as alcohol is concerned, self-confidence was no good whatever. In fact, it was a total liability. Yeah, because see, my self-confidence was, oh, you can do it right this time. You can do it right this time. Oh, this time will be different, right? That's my self-confidence talking to me. Oh, I have confidence in it. But once I take that first drink, man, whatever I planned was over with. Whatever I planned, it was over with, right? Our sponsors declared that we were victims of a mental obsession so subtly powerful that no amount of human willpower could break it. There was, they said, no such thing as personal conquest of this compulsion by the unaided will. Relentlessly deepening our dilemma, our sponsors pointed out our increasing sensitivity to alcohol, an allergy, they called it. The tyrant alcohol wielded a double-edged sword over us. First, we were smitten by an insane urge that condemned us to go on drinking, and then by an allergy of the body that ensured we would ultimately destroy ourselves in the process. Few indeed were those who, so assailed, had ever won through single-handed combat. It was a statistical fact that alcoholics almost never recovered on their own resources. And this had been true apparently ever since man had first crushed grapes. I've never seen anybody win this in single-handed combat. Now, if you just listen to the line, single-handed combat, by yourself fighting, that's old behavior. See, when I'm by myself, I think it needs to be a fight. But when I start doing this with other people, I find that peaceful measures are a much better way to go. I need other people in my life in order to stay sober. Yes, I do. I need God's children in my life. And I found that I wouldn't really want it any other way. It would suck doing this alone. Then there wouldn't be meetings. There wouldn't be this live. I wouldn't know any of you. See, if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous and what Bill and Bob and Lois and the first 100 did, I wouldn't know you. So I thank God every day for them sacrificing everything that they had to ensure that I had a program when I was 54 years old in 2025. I think that's cool as shit. Right? In AA's pioneering time, none but the most desperate cases could swallow and digest this unpalatable truth. Even these last gaspers often had difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually were. But a few did, and when they laid hold of AA's principles with all the fervor with which the drowning sees life preservers, they almost invariably got well. This is why the first edition of the book Alcoholics Anonymous, published when our membership was small, dealt with low bottom cases only. Many less desperate alcoholics tried AA, but did not succeed because they could not make the admission of hopelessness. Yeah. What they're saying is this. So the first time I got sober, I was 18. They would not let me in. I would not have made the requirements. At 45, when I was jaundice and in and out of insane, then I would have qualified. So thankfully they made a change. Thankfully they did. It is a tremendous satisfaction to record that in the following years this changed. Alcoholics who still had their health, their families, their Jello cake. I don't know where that came from, but Jello cake to you too. I see, Jay. I'm sure there's a reason for it, and I didn't catch it, which most likely it, right? Oh, Jello cake. Now Jello cake sounds really good. Here's something funny. Um, I don't know where we were, but it was somewhere with cake, right? And when I was drinking, I didn't really eat and things like that, but I love cake. I like cake a lot. And my mom was, they, so he's like, "Do you want some cake, Dion?" And my mom goes, "No, he doesn't like cake." I'm like, "No, mom, that's not it." It said I will eat the whole damn thing, and I probably shouldn't. All right, anyway. Alcoholics who still had their health, their families, their jobs, and even two cars in the garage began to recognize their alcoholism. All right. This is the only place that I know of in the 12 by 12 and the big book and probably all of our literature where it talks about a certain kind of alcoholic who may not have been on Skid Row or things like that. Okay. Um, as this trend grew, they were joined by young people who were scarcely more than potential alcohol. Oh, that reminds me, and I will let you know. I didn't know this, but Sissy Paul is still around. It's a Colorado Collation of young people in AA, and they are. When I went, it was awesome. I loved it. So if anybody's looking for young people in AA, which they consider 30 and younger, um, they're still around. So um, they were joined by young people who were scarcely more than potential alcoholics. They were spared that last 10 or 15 years of literal hell the rest of us had gone through. Since step one required an admission that our lives had become unmanageable, how could people such as these people uh, these take this step? Blah, blah, blah. It was obviously necessary to raise the bottom the rest of us hit to the point where it would hit them. In other words, we meet people where they're at. So what they do, they didn't change the first 164 pages, but what they did is they changed the stories in the back. Right? It is the stories in the back of the big book that bring hope, that people read and go, "Oh gosh, this is me." And it's non-evasive because they're reading it by themselves, but then they can start to make their own conclusions in their head. Oh man, I might be one of. It also helps remove loneliness, knowing that other people think that way too, and that you're not by yourself anymore. Right? So, saying that they raise the bottom doesn't necessarily create a rock bottom. Everybody has their bottom, and your bottom is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Right? By going back in our own drinking histories, we could show that years before we realized it, we were out of control. I was on Skid Row at 17. Do you think I wasn't out of control? I mean, by 17, I had reached the stigmatized version of alcoholism, and even then, people didn't agree. There were some people anyway, right? But yeah, I very much was. Okay, I was on a dry drunk until I was 13. All right, just trying to put it different ways so we understand that alcohol is not a requirement for alcoholism. To the doubters, we could say, perhaps you're not an alcoholic after all. Why don't you try some more controlled drinking, bearing in mind, meanwhile, what we have told you about alcoholism? This attitude brought immediate and practical results. It was then discovered that when one alcoholic had planted in the mind of another the true nature of his malady, that person could never be the same again. I was just talking to a sponsee about this the other day. Said it. I can tell you now, if you decided to take a drink, it is not going to be the same anymore. We have ruined your drinking career. You are never going to be the same again. No. My job title is I ruined drinking careers. It's what it says on my Facebook. Maybe I should just go ahead and change it. Nah. Following every spree, he would say to himself, maybe those AAs were right. After a few such experiences, often years before the onset of extreme difficulties, he would return convinced he had hit bottom as truly as any of us. John Barleycorn himself became our best advocate. John Barleycorn is alcohol. It's just another name for alcohol. Why all this insistence that every AA must hit bottom first? I think you probably know by now. Because until the consequences are so severe, see what is a bottom? What is a bottom? A bottom is you are no longer willing to take the consequences of what is going on. And that is not determined by age. That is not determined by material things. It is not determined by gender or race. Yep, that's what we call it. Head full of AA and a belly full of booze, and it's a different hell. It's a different hell. I think several people here could attest to that. Yeah. Huh. All of us. But we got it, didn't we? It finally fucking sunk in, didn't it? Right. The answer is that few people will sincerely try to practice the AA program unless they have hit bottom. For practicing AA's remaining 11 steps means the adoption of attitudes and action that almost no alcoholic who is still drinking can dream of taking. Who wishes to be rigorously honest and tolerant? Oh, fuck, I didn't. Who wants to confess his faults to another, make restitutions for harm done? Or they going to do it too? Just bringing up some of the excuses. Who cares anything about a higher power, let alone meditation and prayer? Who wants to sacrifice time and energy in trying to carry AA's message to the next sufferer? No, the average alcoholic, self-centered in the extreme, doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do these things in order to stay alive himself. I don't agree with that last line. Well, this is the way I should phrase it. I don't align with that last line. A lot of us, I didn't come in here to save my life. Not in the beginning. My bottom did not, oh, I'm going to die. I was trying to die. I was trying to die. But the problem was I had put myself in a position to die, but I was going to do it alone. Now, suddenly, my high school sweetheart and I are getting married, and my kids are back in my life. I got 2 more bonus kids, and I couldn't do that in front of them. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the courage to do it, thank God. So, under the lash of alcoholism, we are driven to AA. I don't see anybody skipping into AA. Not a new person, anyway. Seen plenty of people skip into the rooms and skip out of them. So, and there we discover the fatal nature of our situation. Then, and only then, do we become as open-minded to the conviction and as willing to listen as the dying can be. We stand ready to do anything which will lift the merciless obsession from us. All right, that's going to be it for this one. I was just filling up some time till the 3 o'clock meeting. Why not talk about something to help people? And Amber asked me to go live. So sometimes if you ask me to go live, but now I'm going to say if you ask me to go live, I give me a topic too if you can. So, because I had to come up with this one pretty quick. All right, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. We will see a few of you in a few hours at the 5 o'clock. I got a feeling it's going to be even bigger today. It's getting bigger. People are talking about, even central office said something to me. So, excuse me. And now we got the 7th step. And our prudent reserve's already $100. That one person donated $100 to the group, man. I'm like, what? I even texted him. I'm like, are you sure? Because $1 can be $100 sometimes when you do that. So, and they're like, no. Like, okay. So what's neat is now group conscious come, we get to sit down and decide how we're going to spend that money and how we can help more people get into AA. Yeah. Maybe we should do some public service announcements, like put like park benches and shit. No, we can't do that. Actually, we can't do that. See how money kind of convolutes things pretty quick. Um, maybe there's a lot of ideas. Maybe we want to support some homeless, or maybe we want to, as long as it goes to outreach and helps other people, I think that's what's going. Yes, I am going to, Amber. I'm going to go to there. I kind of feel obligated to the 3 p.m. Um, that, and I like seeing Leanna. So I love Leanna a lot. She has probably got the biggest heart of most of the people that I've met in this world ever, and she is so fucking strong. I have a lot of admiration for her, a lot. So, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.